कस्यचित् पापं
न दत्ते कस्यचित् पापं
न चैव सुकृतं विभो
न चैव सुकृतं विभो
अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानं
अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानं
तेनामूयन्ति जन्तवः
तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः.
Anybody would like to recite?
नादत्ते कस्यचित् पापं
न दत्ते कस्यचित् पापं
न चैव सुकृतो
न चैव सुकृतं विभो
अज्ञानेन वृतं ज्ञानम्
अज्ञानेन मृतं ज्ञानं
तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः
तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः.
नादत्ते कस्यचित् पापं
न दन्ते कश्चित् पापं
न चैव सुकृतं विभुः
न चैवं सुकृतं विभो
अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानं
अज्ञानेन मृतं ज्ञानं
तेन मुह्यन्ति
तेन मुह्यन्ति
जन्तवः
जन्तवः.
One more.
नादत्ते कस्यचित् पापं
न दत्ते कस्यचित् पापं
न च सुकृतं विभो
न चैव सुकृतं विभो
अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानम्
अज्ञानेन वृतं ज्ञानं
तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः
तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः.
Na
न
adate
आदन्ते
accepts कस्यचित्
कश्चित्
Anyone's
पापं
पापं
sin
sin
na
na
nor
nor
cha
cha
also
eva
eva
certainly
sukritam
sukritam
pious activities
pious activities
vibhu
the
supreme lord
supreme lord
ajnanena
ajnanena
by ignorance
by ignorance
avritam
avritam
covered
covered
jnanam
jnanam
knowledge
knowledge
tena
tena
by
by
that
that
muyanti
muyanti
are
are
bewildered
bewildered
jantavah
jantavah
the living entities
the living entities.
nor does the supreme lord
Nor does the supreme lord
assume anyone's
assume anyone's
sinful or pious activities
sinful or pious activities.
embodied beings
Embodied beings
however are
are
bewildered
bewildered
because of the ignorance
because of the ignorance
which covers their real knowledge.
which covers the real knowledge.
This purport is very nice actually. We'll read this purport. I'll read it. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
The Sanskrit word Vibhu means the Supreme Lord, who is full of unlimited knowledge, riches, strength, fame, beauty and renunciation. He is always satisfied in Himself, undisturbed by sinful or pious activities. He does not create a particular situation for any living entity, but the living entity, bewildered by ignorance. These few lines are very important. He does not create a particular situation for any living entity, but the living entity, bewildered by ignorance, desires to be put into certain conditions of life, and thereby his chain of action and reaction begins. A living entity is, by superior nature, full of knowledge. Nevertheless, he is prone to be influenced by ignorance due to his limited power. The Lord is omnipotent, but the living entity is not. The Lord is Vibhu or omniscient, but the living entity is Anu or atomic. Because he is a living soul, he has the capacity to desire by his free will. Such a desire is fulfilled only by the omnipotent Lord. And so, when the living entity is bewildered in his desires, the Lord allows him to fulfill those desires. But the Lord is never responsible for the actions and reactions for the particular situation which may be desired. Being in a bewildered condition, therefore, that embodied soul identifies himself with the circumstantial material body and becomes subjected to the temporary misery and happiness of life. The Lord is a constant companion of the living entity as Paramatma or the Super Soul, and therefore he can understand the desires of the individual soul, as one can smell the flavor of a flower by being near it. Desire is a subtle form of conditioning for the living entity. The Lord fulfills his desire as he deserves. Man proposes and God disposes. The individual is not therefore omnipotent in fulfilling his desires. The Lord, however, can fulfill all desires, and the Lord, being neutral to everyone, does not interfere with the desires of the minute independent living entities. However, when one desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care and encourages one to desire in such a way that one can attain to him and be eternally happy. The Vedic hymns therefore declare, Esha yuhi eva sadhu karma karayati tamyam ebhyo lokebhya punya nishyate Esha yu eva sadhu karma karayati yam adho ninishyate. The Lord engages the living entity in pious activities so that he may be elevated. The Lord engages him in impious activities so that he may go to hell. Kaushitaki Upanishad 3:8. Agyo jantur anisho yam atmana shukha dukhayo ishvara previto gache swargam vash abhram evacha. The living entity is completely dependent in his distress and happiness. By the will of the Supreme, he can go to heaven or hell as a cloud is driven by the air. Therefore, the embodied soul, by his immemorial desire to avoid Krishna consciousness, causes his own bewilderment. Consequently, although he is constitutionally eternal, blissful, and cognizant, due to the littleness of his existence, he forgets his constitutional position of service to the Lord and is thus entrapped by nescience. Nescience means ignorance. And under the spell of ignorance, the living entity claims that the Lord is responsible for his conditional existence. The Vedanta Sutras 2.134 also confirms this. Vaishamya naigrinye na sapekshatvat tathahi darshayati. The Lord neither hates nor likes anyone, though he appears to. How do you like the purport? Amazing, right? So let's see if we can churn something from this and have some discussion around this. Okay. So the living entity has free will. We all have free will. And with the free will, we can choose, we can develop a wrong desire. When we develop a wrong desire, the Lord may sanction that desire. And when the Lord sanctions that desire, we are responsible for the reaction that may come for the desire. For example, if I want to rob a bank, I don't want to do that, but in case if I want to rob a bank, then the Lord may sanction that I go and maybe with some weapon or something and use my intelligence to rob a bank, and suppose I rob the bank, the Lord may sanction it. But then the reaction which has come, that I am going to jail, the Lord is not responsible, because Lord has given me free will, and by my ignorance means I don't know what is right, what is wrong. By my ignorance, I may choose a wrong desire, I may run behind it, then I am entitled for the reaction. And when the reaction comes, I cannot blame the Lord, Lord, why did you do that to me? Why did you put me in the jail? Why am I suffering when you exist? I cannot blame the Lord. Whatever reaction and action and reaction, it was my misuse of free will. So I am responsible for whatever happens in my life. Man proposes, God disposes. Now there is a difference between Lord's sanction and Lord's desire. Lord may sanction, but that's not necessary. Lord may desire. If I want to say hit somebody, the Lord may sanction it, but not that the Lord wants the person to be beaten up. But then I am entitled for the reaction. For example, I may kill an animal. The Lord may sanction it. When the Lord sanctions it, I am responsible for the reaction that comes through it. So every time I have the free will. Let's see if there is some discussion.
My question is why the God is going to sanction the wrong thing doing?
So he has given us free will and he has given us knowledge. And then we are not robots. We are spirit souls. And by default, Krishna has given us desire to make our own choices. And with that desire, when we turn towards Lord and love Him, then He welcomes us. But then if we turn against Him and do something wrong, then He may sanction it. He doesn't control the living entity's desire. If the living entity desire is controlled, then they become robots. So robot means however you program, they will do like that. So He has made us with the free will, and He has given us knowledge. But whatever happiness or distress comes in our life is our own choices. And life is full of choices. If I do something wrong, the wrong is going to come back to me. But the Lord is not responsible when something wrong comes to me. It was my choice in the first place, and now the reaction is coming. Whether I go to higher planets, whether I go to lower planets, Lord is not responsible. But Lord gives knowledge, what is the reaction for what activity. And that's where Bhagavad Gita comes into picture. Bhagavad Gita helps us to give guidance about our life. There are certain laws with which this word is working. And the one who has made those laws is giving us the knowledge about it. We are hearing about the creation from the Creator. But without knowledge, we may make any decision, but the laws are not going to change. It is said that ignorance of law is not an excuse. Common example given is if I am driving and I go at 90 miles per hour and I get a ticket, and then I tell the cops, I didn't know this is the law. The law of karma works like this. And the cop will say, now you know sir, here is a ticket. You have 15 days to pay off. Otherwise court is for you. So ignorance of law is not an excuse. And that's where the Lord has given us knowledge. At the end, after speaking Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, Arjuna, I have told everything. Now yatha cheshi tatha kuru. You do as you desire. Yatha cheshi tatha kuru. Jo इच्छाओ करो.
मैं यही सोच रहा था कि महाभारत में कृष्ण ने ऑर्डर दिया कि तुम ऐसा करो ऐसा करो, तो वहाँ पे तो गॉड बोल रहे थे अर्जुन को, राइट, यू डू दिस थिंग.
नहीं, Lord in the end, Lord told Arjuna, I have spoken Bhagavad Gita. Now you do as you like. Lord gave recommendation. Arjuna, don't give up your duty. Otherwise reaction will come for neglecting your duty. Lord told everything what his desire is. And then after telling everything what his desire is, he told, do as you like. I have done my part of telling you what is right and what is wrong. You do as you like. So it is said, if you see the translation, the Supreme Lord does not assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. He is not responsible somebody does pious work. He is not responsible somebody does sinful work. Sometimes this common question is asked when God is there, why there is so much suffering? You heard that question? Yeah. And Krishna here answers that he is not responsible for anyone's sinful or pious activity. Embodied being bewildered because of ignorance, which covers their real knowledge, and they make those choices.
So Prabhuji, who makes us engage in sinful activities?
It is the three modes. So there is mode of passion, mode of goodness, mode of ignorance. Whatever our desire is influenced by the nature. Whichever mode we are being influenced by. Mode of passion, we want to be selfish enjoyers. Mode of goodness, we want to be selfless servants. Mode of ignorance, just don't want to do anything.
So this question was asked by Arjuna to Krishna. What makes us do the sinful acts? And Krishna answered that it's the lust.
Lust only, Arjuna.
Lust only, Arjuna. Lust makes us do the
Selfish work.
bad
Mode
works.
of passion. Okay, more discussion.
लस्ट को कैसे भगाया जाए?
Second.
So we have to turn it into love. Love towards the divine. Perversion of that is lust in this world. So lust cannot go away, but it can be transformed into love. And this bhakti yoga is, see, when we practice bhakti, our devotion for the Lord will increase. Lust basically means attachment. And we cannot become detached from this world, but when we become attached to divine, our attachment is properly directed. So lust is called misdirected love. And when we properly channel it, then because we are so satisfied and so attached and so happy there, then this will weaken. The grips in lower direction will weaken. So all we do is we try to develop a positive relationship. We remove negativity by positivity. Just like there is a saying, habits die hard. We may have many bad habits. So we replace the bad habits by introducing some good habits at that time and keeping ourselves busy, especially in devotional way. And then there is no time for bad habits because we are so busy with good habits.
मेरे साथ एग्जैक्टली यही होता है. जब अच्छी चीज़ें करता हूँ तो बैड हैबिट्स आते हैं या ख़त्म ही होते हैं, फिर सडनली बैड हैबिट्स स्टार्ट हो जाता है. तो ये इट्स ऑल फ्लक्चुएटिंग. आई वांट टू बी स्मूथ चलता रहे. तो वो आई डोंट नो वो.
तो अगर मेरा माय हम्बल रिकमेंडेशन बोलिए या रिक्वेस्ट बोलिए, इज रेगुलर एसोसिएशन विल ड्राइव एट अवे फ्रॉम. एक रेगुलरिटी चाहिए. And then every week we are like, oh, this is what we do is we associate with the words of Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna words and Bhagavad Gita words are very enlivening and direction giving. And then when there are weak moments come in life, then Krishna gives a different perspective. So it keeps on like click, 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 click. So that regular check by the words of Lord Krishna puts us in right direction gradually. It won't happen next month or 2 months, but it may happen. You may be successful after 6 months. It will just happen. You don't have to do anything. It will happen just naturally. We just flow with Lord Krishna's desires, Lord Krishna's teachings. We hear and we try to apply in that week what we hear, and then we keep on progressing. Keep first understand and then practice. Understand, practice. Understand, practice. And slowly, we won't even realize how things have changed. That time we don't see how things have changed, but when you look yourself back 1 year from later, and you look back and you're like, wow, so many things have changed. Why? This is Lord's, these are divine words spoken by the Lord. This is transcendental. Okay, more thoughts. Yes, need to answer. This सवाल तो होगा. कोई सवाल. Any more thoughts on this?
So, Guruji, so what factors influence our fate? Like to a certain extent, destiny is defined when we're born, but with karma we have an ability to change it or influence it in a positive direction. So yeah, that's my core question. Like,
How to change destiny?
yeah, like what factor, like what are the things we can do to shape our destiny in a way we want it to be?
Whatever bad happens in our life is the reaction of our previous karma. And whatever good comes in our life is reaction of previous karma. I get a job, good karma. I lost a job, bad karma. Some suffering came to me, some past reaction. Some material happiness came to me, some pious activity. So living a... Yeah. Lord Krishna says in 2nd chapter, Mataji, Lord Krishna says, the bad karma is dissolved by devotion, by bhakti. And the example given is, Tulasi, Mother Tulasi, Bhakti Tulasi. There is a verse that says, if you water Tulasi 3 times, even the sin of killing a Brahmana is nullified. That's the power of Tulasi Devi. Yani kani chapa pani brahma hatya dikani. Brahma Hatyadikanicha. So that's a proof, that verse is a proof that how any kind of devotional activity can burn our bad karma. And that's why there is a saying that every sinner has a future, every saint has a past. Saint has a past means in the past they may have done many wrong things, but there is no future for them because they nullified it by the process of devotion. Every sinner has a future, means they have to go through everything that is being done. And what we have seen is by the process of devotion, everything will become so smooth, and then we won't even realize, we feel like this is normal. But we may not be able to see how much is removed that was supposed to come in our life. We cannot see that because everything is becoming smooth now. And there is an example of a sinful person. His name was Ajami. He kind of he became attracted to a low-born woman, and he rejected his wife, his parents, took up all sinful activities, and became very, very sinful. But at the end of his life, he chanted Narayana. And because he chanted Narayana, he became purified of all the sins that he has committed. You may have heard that story of Ajami.
His son's name was Narayan.
His son name was Narayan. And he didn't call Narayan actually, he just referred to his son. But his son name happened to be Narayan.
But the deeds of his life is different. And chanting that is not a chanting. He was just calling his son.
Yeah. So it is said that the holy name is so powerful, even unconsciously, if one utters those names, the benefit will be immense. The example given is of a medicine. If you give a medicine, this example is given by Vishnu Dutas himself. Vishnu Dutas says that just like a medicine, even if you give a child in some say sabji or curry or ice cream, it will work. Likewise, the holy name, even unknowingly chanted, still has immense benefit. What to speak about when it is chanted knowingly and consciously? These names of the Lord, they are not theoretical. If you see our grandparents, everybody used to chant actually. I mean, I saw my nani, dadi, everybody like on their beats, either Ram 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 or Hare Krishna Maha. Something they are chanting. It's in the culture. But now we see, now things have changed actually.
Some people are there chanting their own guru's name. And in this world, वो अपने गुरु का नाम लेके कहते हैं. They are not chanting to Krishna or Rama or something else. They are only taking the name of their guru. That's all. I don't know how much truth it is.
I mean, we recommend chanting. Guru is the one, Guru is not God. Guru is the one who just guides us towards God.
Yes.
The role of Guru is to take us towards God. That's all. Guru is just a teacher. And those who are chanting Guru's name, if Guru's name is Krishna's name, then they are indirectly getting benefited. But the idea is to chant the names of the Lord. Namna Makari Bahuta Nija Sarva Shakti. The Lord has invested all his divine potency in his names. And by chanting those names, all those potency will work. So it is so easy. Like it is said, we always speak something. We always speaking something. We just have to replace that with speaking the names of the Lord. So Prabhupada would say, what is the difficulty? We anyways have a tendency to speak. Why not speak his name? Okay, more discussion. Yes,
Just to clarify for all, you said the devotional service can help us to remove our bad karma. So could you explain to all what are the processes, easy processes of devotional service?
Easy process of devotional service. Well, most important is hearing and chanting. There is also arati, offering food to the Lord, offering prayers to the Lord, bowing down before the Lord, worshipping the deities of the Lord, surrendering oneself to the Lord, Atma Nivedana. So there are 9 main. Shravanam is hearing, Kirtanam is chanting, Smaranam is remembering. Like you close your eyes and you bring the form of the Lord, either Vishnu or Narayana or Krishna, any form of the Lord. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, serving his lotus feet, Archanam, deity worship, Vandanam, offering prayer, Dasyam, acting as a servant, Sakyam, that he is my friend, Friend means you go and reveal your heart and you ask help. So you go and reveal your heart to the Lord. Lord, I am in this situation. Please help me. See what happens. Your faith that He is there, He is listening to you will increase. Just from your heart. My Lord, please. And whenever we go in front of the Lord, take a humble position. My Lord, I have done these mistakes, because of which whatever reaction may be coming to me, I still beg you to please, how can I serve you? Please engage me in your service. This is Vandana. Sakya and Atma Nivedana is surrendering. Surrendering means whatever happens in our life, we see the will of the Lord. We see the hand of the Lord. It's like but we don't make Lord responsible for it. And then we know that whatever the situation is, it's coming because of my past, but I can overcome that situation by taking shelter of the Lord. What people do is opposite. They say whatever situation is coming is because of the Lord. And they don't take shelter, and they become angry with the Lord. So instead we say that whatever is coming is because of me, and I take shelter of the Lord to overcome that. Very good. She's agreeing with you. Okay. More discussion?
So here it is says that he does not create a particular situation for any living entity, but he has created many times a particular situation, like in the battlefield of Jarasandh. I mean, he knows that if he'll go to the Mathura or Vrindavan, then Jarasandh will be there, and he is fighting against that, and he deliberately bring the Bhima, not all Pandavas, only Bhima. That battle is going on, and he will be the main person who is going to fight, and he pushes directly. Then he is creating the situation.
Yeah, the Lord may create when He desires, but in general for a living entity, if I am put in a situation where like stressful situation, anxious situation, so it is my own past. It's not that Lord wanted us to go through that, either good or bad. It's the chain of action reaction. My own past has bring me in the situation. Whatever situation I may be in, it is not Lord's desire, but Lord has sanctioned. Nothing can happen without the sanction of the Lord, but Lord has sanctioned, and Lord sanctions good or bad upon us. Lord is neutral to all living entity, and He is like, as karma allows, the Lord sanctions that. Lord is not biased. But is He responsible? No. Does He desire us to suffer? No. Does He sanction? Yes. Because He is sanctioning, He doesn't want to go against His own laws that He has made. So He sanctions, but He doesn't desire us to suffer. And when we take shelter of Him in devotion, He will take us out of that situation. But whatever situation we are in, His sanction is there.
But He can change the path when we are going to do some wrong deeds. So He can change us too.
Yeah, so when we are going to do something wrong, can He change us? It depends upon how active is the Lord in our heart. The Lord is sitting in our heart as Paramatma or Super Soul. And when we do something wrong, if we are practicing devotional service, and if the Lord is active in our heart, then He will tell us this is wrong. Don't do it. Still, if we do it, we are entitled for the reaction.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
But if the Lord is not active in our heart, our conscience dies. Lord becomes inactive, and just the chain of action reaction is going on. Conscience dies means, like so many people, they do wrong thing and they think this is the right thing to do. So the inner conscience dies.
But what about the previous karma, as you mentioned before? Previous karma.
When I do something wrong, I am accumulating new karma. When suffering is coming to me, it's from the past and maybe the current. Maybe cumulative, maybe individual. It's very complex, it's a huge baggage. But when I'm doing something, I'm creating a new karma.
Just like here there is a beautiful line here. Like, we desire and God only sanction it. But
Yes.
when we do devotional service, our desire shapes.
Yeah.
Like, it shapes towards the good desires,
Yeah.
so that we will have pious work or some devotional work, so
Mhm.
that we will not get more and more bad karma and influence like that.
Yeah. It seems like we just started, but kids coming in, it's time to wind up already. Like we just started only the first verse today. When kids start coming, then I know that. So how this works is whatever we are desiring is the influence of material nature on us. Even though the desire may be there, I still have a free will to choose it or not to choose it. Not to choose it or not to. But what is impelling me to do something is the influence of the modes on me. For example, anybody like gulab jamun? Okay, you will hear it regularly if you come to these discussions. You know? Now I may have a desire, I want to eat 5 gulab jamuns. It's actually impelled by mode of passion. But then I have a free will to say this is not good for me. Maybe 1 is okay. But 5 may cause maybe indigestion or maybe diabetes or something. So a mode of nature will impel me to a desire. Still, even though I want to do something, I still have a free will to choose it or not. So we don't have to do whatever the desire is coming from our heart, knowing that this is the nature of the modes on me. When the mind presents a thought, we don't have to do what the mind is presenting. We can see that how the mind is influenced by the illusory nature, and we are separate from the mind.
But that is difficult for us. So this free will, like the mode of, like when we get some desire from the mode, that becomes very strong, so that like our free will that time, like that's very difficult to say no to that.
And that's why it is relatively easy to understand that I'm not this body. It is more difficult to understand I'm not this mind. Because when the mind presents something, it feels like this is what I want. And we identify ourselves with the mind. But we are not the mind.
Can you explain this? We are not the mind.
We are not the mind means, suppose that desire comes. I want to eat 5 gulab jamuns. Now, sorry. You don't have any gulab jamuns. If you want, I can make some and bring for all of you next week. But I want to eat 5 gulab jamuns. Now, if I think I want to eat 5 gulab jamuns, I have already associated myself with the mind.
Then what is free will? Free will is also somewhere coming from
Free
our
will-
mind also, right? This is the will to make an impactful decision.
That's intelligence.
That's not even free will.
My intelligence, myself through intelligence is telling me wrong or right. Mind is telling me I want 5 gulab jamuns. Intelligence is telling me this is not good for you.
Then what is free will?
Free will is, should I do it or not do it? I have a choice, right? To eat it or eat one. Even though I desire. You take a sweet box. You went to a store. 5 gulab jamuns came.
Then I'm ignoring my intelligence over here because it has given me only 2 options, yes and no. And my free will is asking me to have one or more.
So my free will is there to choose should I eat 1 or 5.
But why to eat one? One is also harmful.
1 is also.
Yeah, one is also harmful.
No, I am not here to say whether you eat gulab jamun or not. I am giving an example.
It's not about being gulab jamun. It's about like I want to do 10 sin. Should I do 10 sin? Oh, 1 sin is good enough or not.
Yeah, no. So
Yeah, the intelligence tell me no. Don't even look at. Don't even walk on that path.
Yeah.
Refrain yourself.
I am agreeing with you.
Yeah, so
I
that's
am
why I
not
want to
giving the example of
understand.
gulab jamun with one that one sin is okay. Just an example that how mind and intelligence are different. And mind, the modes is giving whatever desire I am having. If they're not good desire, those desires are coming because of the influence of modes. And I'm not this mind. So when I think that this is what I want and I do it, then I'm identifying myself with the mind. But when I understand that this is the mode, something wrong is happening. and I need to take more shelter of the Lord so this goes away. Then I know that there is a contamination that has come upon me, and I need to get rid of that contamination to be peaceful again. And I have the free will whether whatever mind says I do it, or I take shelter of the Lord and remove that contamination which has somehow come upon me.
I do understand the boundaries.
About
I do understand the differences between mind and intelligence or the free will. Thank you.
So every action we take, we should always evaluate our intention behind it. So I think that will be rather than thinking, I think what you are saying by whether we are doing it in the mode of passion, ignorance, or awareness, rather than thinking in that way, if you can think like what's my intention behind it, for every action we do, I think usually the out of intention we get the results of our action.
that itself is mode of goodness.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but to evaluate ourselves right in that moment and why I'm doing this action, what is my intention behind it?
That itself is mode of goodness. Mode of passion means you won't evaluate, you just do it.
Yeah,
You think after doing it.
I think, yeah, you are deciphering it in a better way, but if we just think about our intention, just to control our action right in that moment, we should think about our intention.
Mataji, what I'm trying to say is, when we are impelled by mode of passion, you won't even have a choice to think of
Yeah,
your intention. When you are mode of goodness, then only you will have a pause between a desire and action. Mode of goodness, you will think. You will think what will be the repercussion. Mode of passion, you just witness the repercussion or you think the repercussion after the act has been done. And mode of goodness increases by the process of devotion and good association. You are in goodness, that's why it's natural for you. But for many, it may not be natural. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's that also.
Alright, so I think Kirtan is calling again.
Yes, and then Aarti.
And then Aarti and Prasad. If I spoke anything wrong, please forgive me as your humble servant. ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, और भक्तवृंद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि।